by talking about marketing fundamentals in GetResponse. And for the most part, that's what GetResponse is. It's a marketing tool. You can use it if you're, just trying to keep in contact with people, but primarily you're using it so you can get more activity, more engagement, more kind of activity that leads to revenue, more activity that might lead to higher donations, whatever your source of revenue is. This is what GetResponse is really primarily helping you to do. So we do want to talk about this from the perspective of marketing fundamentals, not necessarily sales. Obviously, you can send an email and you can make a sale. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to convince people to open your email and you're trying to convince people to take the action on it. I want to talk more from the perspective of getting and keeping the right people in front of those emails. And that really does come back down to some marketing fundamentals. One of those marketing fundamentals being your USP or your unique selling proposition. What it is that you do that's special that other people do not do. Other people in your market, other people in your niche, other people that look like your business. You want to be able to highlight those things. And GetResponse can help you to do that. There are some tools that you can use in order to enhance your USP. Depending on what plan you get, you can have their website builder. Now, you may not feel like you need a website builder. You may feel like you do that already on something like WordPress, or maybe you have a course platform and you're using a website builder. But again, all of these things are going to overlap as time goes on. Some of the platforms are going to start to do more things so that they can keep you involved with their platform. And I'm guessing that what GetResponse is trying to do is trying to keep from losing customers to platforms like System.io, from platforms like Go High Level, where they're giving people a website builder and services, but they're also kind of taking away some of the email capability that other companies like GetResponse has. So they're going to try to stave some of that off by providing some other services. So GetResponse will give you a website builder that you can use, and obviously you can use that to enhance your USP or basically make your case. In the same way, there's a landing page creator. It's separate from the website builder. That's probably already been there for a little bit of time. And most of the autoresponder companies now have a landing page creator that you're getting along with whatever it is that you're doing with their email. And so that's an added benefit, an added service that they're giving you. So again, all you're really trying to do is to make sure that you're getting and keeping the right people in front of your emails, in front of your brand, and a landing page can do that. Right. And so you can enhance your USP with a landing page, and GetResponse will do that for you. There's some good tools inside of GetResponse for upsells and cross sells. And so let's say that you do automations. We'll take a brief look at automations in this session, but you can follow up on just about any activity if you're willing to set it up. So, if a customer clicks on an email, if a customer does any kind of action inside of your GetResponse account, you can follow up with a special message. Anything that the customer is doing, quite frankly, if you're willing to go the next step and you're willing to set up e-commerce tracking, you can actually send the customer emails based on actions they take on your website. And so again, these are all going to be things that you can use in order to follow up and generate more sales when somebody has taken an action, and you're able then to send a targeted email based on that action. So good upsell, cross-sell tools inside of GetResponse. And so you do want to make sure you understand automations inside of GetResponse. And some of this does depend on which level of account that you're going to be using. And if you have a legacy account, you might already have these automations that you want to get to know. If you don't have a legacy account, you may have to upgrade in order to get the automations. Regardless, this is where you're going to see some of your, I don't like to use the word investment, but you're going to see some of what you're spending come back to you if you're able to automate messages that are going to be targeted based on activity that your customer's taking. And so you need to understand what triggers are. So when you go into automation, something has to set everything off, and a customer's action will do that. And you'll see that here in this session. I'll show you what triggers are available inside of GetResponse. But you want something that they do to set off an action. And whatever it is that they do inside of GetResponse, we can then have an email sent to them based on that. And so that's really what automations are going to do for you. And again, isn't much different from other autoresponders. Other companies do have these, MailChimp, Aweber, all of them. So it's a pretty standard service. It's a pretty standard element of all autoresponders, but GetResponse does have it. And you are able to pretty much, again, try to think about, well, inside of your business, if somebody's taking specific actions, what should you follow up? Now, you don't want to follow up about everything. You want to follow up on those things that, if your customer's missing and they're not necessarily seeing all your offers and they're not seeing a higher price offer, well, those are going to be the things you want to be able to do. And so it does require some higher level thinking about where customers are missing it, where customers are not hearing about all the wonderful things that you're doing. And you can then make sure that you're doing things so that they can see those messages. GetResponse does have an affiliate program. You can set up that affiliate program based on whether or not your customer decides to become a paid customer. And they will give you what is called a bounty. And as of the recording of this session, that bounty is $100. So your customer becomes a paid member or a paid customer, and they stay, right? I think they've got to stay for a period of time. Then GetResponse will pay you a bounty. Otherwise, what you can do is you can set up to be a recurring affiliate, just like you would traditionally. So that every time your customer makes their payment, there's probably going to be a lapse of some kind, maybe about 30 days. Then you'll see a recurring commission as a result of that. And so one of the ways that you can do that passively, if you want to, now, not everybody wants to do this. What you can do inside of GetResponse is you can let their badge show. And pretty much, if people are seeing your emails, they'll know that you're using GetResponse or some autoresponder. They know it's a service. There are those times when you don't necessarily want a service shown to your customer. You don't want your customer necessarily to focus in on what you're using. But in the case of your autoresponder, it might be okay. And so that I don't think that hurts you to allow your customer to see that badge, and then those that are going to be interested to click that badge and then be taken to GetResponse. And if they decide to become a paying customer GetResponse, then you'll get some kind of commission depending on which one you set up. Either you're going to set up the bounty or you're going to set up the recurring income commission payment. Now, GetResponse is all about list building. So obviously that's what you're going to want to do. You are trying to build your list. That's why you're using GetResponse, and you're going to be using all the tools available inside of GetResponse in order to help you to build your list. So once again, GetResponse has landing pages. They make those landing pages available to you. And they've also got a service where you can put together a limited lead magnet. So if you've got something like an ebook, you can store those ebooks there on GetResponse. You can deliver them. And it's not much different than something that you would do if you didn't have GetResponse. I mean, you would have an opt-in and you would deliver your lead magnet through the email. It makes it a little more convenient to do it this way, and they put everything there for you. So it doesn't do anything more than what you would ordinarily do on your own, but it does make it easy to set up. So if you have an ebook and that is what your lead magnet is, you can use GetResponse in order to deliver that lead magnet and build a landing page. So if you're not necessarily designer inclined and you don't know how to go inside of something like Canva and make and make things look good, then you might want to use one of their templates. And one of the benefits of being able to use tools like Canva and other things is that we can walk in without a lot of design knowledge and then make something that looks good. However, you still need to have some sense of what looks good. And so when those things happen, then it's a good idea to use a template. And don't change anything in the template, you just use it. So GetResponse makes those templates available to you. Now, one thing you want to think about is, well, what platforms am I going to use that might integrate with GetResponse? So if you haven't made decision on all your platforms and you commit to GetResponse, then you want to see which platforms integrate directly with it so that you'll be able to do list building and all kinds of things. So again, what you're effectively doing then is you're saying, well, I'm not going to use Zapier. I'm not going to pay the additional expense. I'm going to kind of focus in on GetResponse, and I'm going to focus in on how what it integrates with. So if you haven't chosen all of your platforms, course platform, membership platform, all of those things, and you choose the autoresponder first, if you decide, well, I'm going to build everything around GetResponse, then you can then start to think about, well, which ones integrate with GetResponse? Do I have to have the one that doesn't? Otherwise, start getting those platforms that integrate with the tools you have. And in the case of GetResponse, there's some specific tools that integrate directly, so you would not have to go and get Zapier in order to get them to integrate. In terms of direct response, there are AI tools for copy. Those are part of the upgraded program. But if you have Chat GPT, you can use them. You can use Chat GPT good enough for your AI copy. They do have A and B testing for your email and your subject lines. So if you want to test out your subject lines, you want to see which one converts better, there are tools inside of GetResponse to help you to be able to do that. In terms of educational marketing, um, there are website pages that can be set up for specific people. I'll show you that here in a minute. You can't necessarily lock people out. So it's not a member site. It's not a membership site page. Now you can do a membership site page if you're willing to upgrade. For the free service, you can segregate, but you can't necessarily have page where it's going to be a membership site. You're going to be able to hide it from your prospects and only give it to your customers. But you can wall off some content in the GetResponse website builder. I'll show you that here in this session. Miscellaneous items. GetResponse has been around for a long time. And so you want to be careful about using default text in anything. So anytime that they send out a confirmation email, they will give you the option of being able to customize it. And even if you've got to go to ChatGPT to say, how do I customize this so that it doesn't go to spam, then do that. But don't use the default text for anything. So wherever you get default text and GetResponse, really in any autoresponder, you shouldn't use it. Always make changes when you get the opportunity to customize things. Now, in the case of some of these autoresponders, I do know that with Aweber, they have to approve your subject line when you make changes. I don't know if that's the case with GetResponse. Regardless, though, don't use the subject line out of the can. Whatever they give you, make changes to it, make it specific to your customer so that it will not arrive in the spam box when it gets to your customer. Now, one of the most important aspects of working inside of GetResponse is going to be your data and your analytics. I'd say it's an underrated aspect of the process. Now that these companies autoresponder companies in particular, are getting a little more sophisticated in what they do, you can start to collect data even if you don't know how to use it yet, or even if you don't use it now. So, and we'll discuss that here. You may not ever even know everything that you have to analyze right now. That's not important. It's not important that you know. What's important is that with every passing event that your customer is engaged in with your business, you want to collect data on what they're doing. Now, that might sound a little creepy, but you should be, right? Because all of these tools are available. And I mean, you want to make sure that you're giving your customer things that are going to be relevant to them and not necessarily irrelevant to them as time goes on. What does that mean? You can track everything that they're doing inside of GetResponse. So anything that happens inside of the autoresponder, you should be tracking. You should be tracking clicks. And now, here's what that means when I turn to track. Now, GetResponse will tell you and give you statistics on when somebody's clicking links. That's not new, right? But you can't use that, right? That doesn't help you to know that everybody clicked on one link that you put in your email. Just because you get that information, well, what can you do with that? You can make some changes, you can make some adjustments, but that's not information that you can use. You've got to get good at getting your customers tagged based on what they're doing in your autoresponder, right? Tagging, that is where you have to go with your data. You've got to make sure that, again, if it's happening in your autoresponder, you want to tag it. You should be tagging everything you possibly can because, again, what this is going to allow you to do is make sure that when you send an email, you have all the different groupings of people that did certain stuff inside of an autoresponder so you can respond to them appropriately. And this is data that you can use, right? If you collect it. Most people don't. Most people do not collect this information. Most people don't think about it. If, again, we're not talking about big data. We're not talking about spying on people and retargeting people. All those things, sometimes those things can be a little creepy. I understand that. But if it is happening inside of that autoresponder, if it is happening with people interacting with things in your email, you should be making sure that you understand exactly what is going on because that's what those tools are going to be for if you use them. Anytime people enter, exit, they take a process, they collect the data, right? Anytime. So whatever's happening in GetResponse, they decide to click an email, decide not to click an email, they decide to open the email, decide not to open an email, track it, tag it, right? Tag everything. And make sure that you can then go to that autoresponder and say, hey, Mr. Autoresponder, Miss Autoresponder, who didn't open the email that I sent on April 16th? Oh, is that everybody? Oh, good. Let me follow up and send them an email based on the fact they didn't open that email on the 16th. Right now, people that click on the link inside of your email. Hey, Miss Autoresponder. Hey, Mr. Autoresponder. Who clicked on the offer that I sent on March 17th? Who clicked on that offer? Oh, these are the people? Well, I'll tell you what, let's send those people an email based on that, right? So again, people that make a specific purchase, now that might seem a little tricky, right? So how do we do that? Well, we want to be able to act on that information. How do we do that? I do want to say this when it comes to sales. Right now, sales are imperfect when you start trying to get data from an autoresponder because obviously you've got to get the person to interact with that email after a sale. And that's an imperfect process, even if you collect the email after the sale. Now that it works to some degree, but there's no rhyme or reason to when it won't work, when the automation is not going to work for that. Reason for that, people use different emails. They change them, right? So they might use one email to purchase, they use another email to access their stuff. So you may not have all the emails. So that might not work all the time. Some people set up emails they don't use in order to receive stuff. And that might be the email you're sending to. So again, there are all kinds of ways that this is not a perfect process. Don't think that just because you tagged everybody that did a certain thing, okay, well now I've got it perfectly. You don't, right? You can only assume that it's only going to happen up to a certain extent. Now, I will say this, tagging and having the information is better than not having it. So don't let the imperfect, keep you from doing what's necessary because there's still good in tagging. Individual goes from prospect to buyer. You want to try to make sure you tag those individuals that become your customers. Now, definitely, you can tag people at the point of sale. And that does take some integration. So you want to make sure if you're going to commit to an autoresponder, whatever autoresponder that you use, it needs to work with your sales system. And quite frankly, it should work with your sales system without you having to use Zapier. Now, Zapier is great and Zapier works. However, Zapier is not a perfect situation. Again, you're adding in a variable, you're adding in a third party to a process that's, even if it's not complicated, you're trying to get as much data correct as you can. So tagging people at the point of sale, your platform, if you choose it, if you're committed to GetResponse, start choosing platforms that you can sell on that have a direct connection. Right now, you may not have that luxury. You may not be able to make that choice. Now, I'm saying that if you're committing to GetResponse and your customers indifferent as to what platform they buy from you on, choose the one that connects direct to GetResponse. There is no other important decision to make than getting people on your list once they buy from you. There's nothing more important than that. So if if you've got to sell on a platform that maybe you're not necessarily, you don't prefer it, but it does connect to the autoresponder you committed to, that's a better plan than getting a cool autoresponder with lots of bells and whistles that you've then got to go get Zapier in order to make it work. Make sure you understand the tagging feature inside your platforms. So if you've committed to GetResponse, understand how you get that tag from the sales system into GetResponse. You, Another way to get people in is, let's say that after they purchase, they get to the landing page, you're just going to put an opt-in from GetResponse, and you say to them, Mr. Buyer, Miss Buyer, I will give you something super cool. What I need you to do now is I need to make sure I get your contact information. So here, if you put your contact information here on this page, I will send you something super cool. And so in order to get that bonus, they're going to put in their real name and email address. Now, again, when you set this up, you set it up so that they only get it if they if the email comes to them. So they go through all the way to the process. They gotta put their name and email address in. They gotta click the confirm email. They gotta make sure they get the confirm done. They got to get that first email, and then that's when you give it to them. Don't give it to them as soon as, let's say, they hit that landing page, right? They put their name and email address in, and there it is on the landing page. Well, you know what? What you're going to find is that a lot of people are not going to opt in for you. They're going to give you any kind of email address in order to do that. So what you want to do is you've got to make sure that if you're going to promise people a bonus, they don't get it until the email comes. You can set up the landing page in GetResponse, right? GetResponse gives you landing pages. You can set up the opt-in from GetResponse. GetResponse gives you that. You can deliver the lead magnet in GetResponse. GetResponse gives you that. Now, once again, GetResponse does it by giving you a thank you page that comes up right after the opt-in. I'm saying to you, don't do that. Don't give them that email. Don't give them that lead magnet until they've confirmed, they've gone all the way through the process, and then they get the email, then they get the bonus. Right now, you can also tag an individual when they click a link on a site that does require an upgraded account typically. And I'll show you that here. You'll see here that, when an individual subscribes, they click a link. These are the things that will set something in motion. Right? So all of these things are things that we can start setting off things, and that we can get an individual into a specific action. That is what a workflow will do for you. Right? And as you can see down there, one of the actions is tagged, or one of the triggers is tagged. So we can set off some kind of action based on the fact that someone is tagged specifically. So it's very important that you tag people for every little thing. I do want to talk a little bit about the website builder inside of GetResponse. You could go down a rabbit trail with this, and I want to show you some of the things that it will do, some of the things that it won't do. Now, you may want to, if you have it as part of your account package, you want to go through it and make sure that it's something that you either don't want to use, that you do want to use. I wouldn't say that it's there to replace something like WordPress, but it's serviceable. But having said all that, there's some things that appear to be promised, but they're not quite working as promised. So let's talk about that here. Now, here I am inside the website builder. And so one thing I can do here is I can click on add a page. You'll see the little mouse button there. Right? So I can create my own specific page. So they're going to give me some pages, but I can then create my own kind of page. And when I do that, one of the pages that they say I can get is called a members only page, right? Pretty cool so far. All right, so if I click on members only, I can make one of those pages a members only page or a member area page. And that's what that page looks like. So, it gives me the opportunity to, create some download links and some just a, kind of a place, a professional looking place for people to come and get stuff. I can do that inside of GetResponse. And I can pretty much customize that page any way that I want to. And one of the other cool things that I can do is I can hide that page from the menu. So basically, I can make that a private page. So the only people that are going to get access to that page are people that know about it, people that I tell about it. So I can make it so that I can create a page inside of the GetResponse website builder. I can hide that page from the menu. So the only way you know about it is if I gave you the URL, if you were my customer in this case. And so you can go into the page settings and you're going to make that a members only page, right? And so you see what GetResponse says is you can share the content now on this page with registered users only. All right. So that is the way you would operate this specific page. So now if I click on the registration page, and you're going to see my mouse hand down there on the right side. So I click on that registration page that they gave me. So if I go to the registration page settings, right? If I go to the registration page settings, I've got to make this content so that everybody's got to view it. So in other words, what I cannot do is I can't limit access to the registration page. So basically, I can limit access to people. I can limit people from seeing the members only page. I can't limit people from seeing the registration page, which you would think is a little weird. So what I did was I went to create a blank page. So I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'll just do this. I'll create a blank page and I'll just add the login registration page here myself, right? So if I know how to hide this from the menu, I can just create that page myself. However, quite interestingly, the only way you can do that is you got to have an upgraded plan. So the only thing that I can think of is that this is part of a future use. I do know that they're planning a content marketing portion of their site. Once again, all of these platforms, they're looking to try to keep from losing members to platforms that offer services in their area. So they're trying to offer things that a course platform would ordinarily do. They're trying to offer things that maybe something like a system.io or high level offers, so that you don't leave them as an autoresponder because you're getting these other things. They want to make sure they're offering these other things too. However, I think they're still figuring out exactly how to give it to you without giving it away. And so in this case, you're going to have a higher plan in order to do it, depending on which plan that you start with. Now, as a recording of this session, you'll see here that websites and landing pages are in the email marketing plan. So I do want to give a disclaimer to this, right? So in looking at this, one of the things that I know that is a bit of a limitation is that I have what's called a legacy plan. And that's because I've been with GetResponse for a long time right now. So if you have a GetResponse account and you've been with them for a long time, it could be that what they're trying to do, and I know they have been talking about this, they're trying to push you into some of their newer plans. And I've just chosen not to do that right now. So even though you can probably get all the features at the lowest level plan, if you opt into their newer plan, it could be possible that you could be one of these individuals that has a legacy plan. And there are those individuals that are available out there who would need to upgrade in order to get into a plan that would consider to be one of their modern plans, right? So if I look at the upgrade screen, just as off the top of my head, what they're saying is that I would need to upgrade to get the website builder. Now I have a limited version of the website builder. I have a limited version of the automation workflows. I don't have access to webinars. So even though I do not have any of these plans, I have a legacy plan, I do have automations, I do have email scheduling, I do have all the things that are on those particular plans. Okay, any questions? Are there any questions? Let me see if we have questions. Question is, can you have two businesses on their plans? You could run two businesses, but you're going to have to you can run multiple lists. So you would have to be the one to kind of keep them straight. So if you decide I'm going to do business A, and it's gonna have its own list, and I'm gonna have business B, it's gonna have its own list, and I want to create a landing page for one and a landing page for the other. Yes, that is possible. Yeah, and high level does do automation and email marketing. Yes, they do. Right. So I think that, like I said, all these platforms are trying to keep from losing customers their specific thing, because GetResponse for a long time has been email. Now, here's what I'm going to say about GetResponse and Aweber and MailChimp. Now, this could be the case with others, right? But when, Google has a conference for their people, their text to be, I know they're there. I know they're focused on email, and they're trying to know exactly what's coming down the pipe. Now, that could be the case with some of these newer platforms. I don't know that, but I do know that these companies that focus on email, they go to those things. So they're not they may have instances where they're caught flat-footed, or they're going to have hiccups and stuff's not going to work sometimes. In general, GetResponse, Aweber, Constant Contact, when you pay them, part of that money is going for them to do research and for them to make sure that they got people. If you can be at somebody whose specialty is email and they're going to these things, they're trying to figure stuff out, I like them better than getting it cheap, right? Because sometimes if you get something and you're getting it and say, oh, well, you can get rid of your autoresponder. Not really, right? Not really.